Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non-Sequitur News for September 17th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 261. Today, I, Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI from the future will be talking about the tides, the price of a name, the Carolina tides, the radio host, the Sat-e-lite, far from home, the sunsetting of 4090, the Avocado Shipment, the Cyrus side of copying, the 100 million object platform, and the viral GPU purses. Everything is brought to you by ohmtown.com. So stop by, become a citizen, but also like and subscribe, follow us over on YouTube and Twitch. You know, all the regular places. See you on the other side. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and the voice you're about to hear is that of the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens, and welcome to Non-Sequitur News.
If you see me kind of aimlessly looking around, it's because I've got two different monitors, one holding the stream to Twitch, one holding the stream to YouTube, and still another holding the restream split. Just making sure everything is running smoothly. That doesn't stop us from moving on. The first article is over in ohmtown.com. So this one's titled, the article is actually titled, "I Can't Sail or Surf Yet I'm Obsessed with Apple Watch's New Tides app." That's why I titled this The Tides. And then there's another article in here about North Carolina. So I called that one the North Carolina Tides, or Carolina Tides. So anyway, Apple's WatchOS 11 introduces sleep apnea tracking and a Vitals app, but the Tides app apparently on the watch has them wistful of old sailing novels. The article is over at gizmodo.com. Kyle Barr put the article together, and apparently this Tides app shows what the status of the tide is. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat, and I guess if you're sitting there daydreaming about being near the ocean.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a demo that was demonstrated by or shown by MKBHD that basically he gave this new Apple 10 kind of a meh rating, you know, like, oh, it's an incremental update. It's not really major. So obviously MKBHD,
but maybe real users think differently.
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, a lot of people really like it. It's thinner, it's lighter, and you can go diving with it now. It acts kind of like a dive computer, but not really fully. I haven't noodled around with it yet, and I haven't gone diving in a long time. But to have this as a backup dive computer just strapped to my hand, it would be great, or arm. And so you always want something, an additional dive computer with you. So Apple's WatchOS 11 introduces sleep apnea tracking, which is built off of nothing more than the accelerometer on your watch, and a Tides app that lets you know what the tide is. And even there's more to it, that you can actually go diving and it tells you where you are underwater. So it's pretty cool.
That would be really useful, particularly if you ran into problems.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. So they say out of high school, they became enamored with Patrick O'Brien's Aubrey and Maturin series of Napoleonic era sailing vessels. He captured a beautiful sense of time and place better than any historical epic of the late century. O'Brien made the author fall in love with the idea of ship-based life and that sense of adventure and beauty of life bounding along the waves. So the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the WatchOS 11 Tides app brought that wistfulness for the waves back in a surprisingly organic way. So the article is talking more about this book and then transitions over to how the Tides app kind of, again, brings back this memory of the book and the romanticism therein.
It sets to the nearest beach.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. So, I mean, it geolocks you to a location, and if you go to another beach, then it probably narrows it down to that particular beach. I think it's pretty amazing. Um, it's smart, it's intuitive. I hope that all the rest of the devices with this latest update actually gets enhanced, because for all intents and purposes, the smart speakers from Apple seem pretty dumb. And the HomePods, not the HomePod minis, but the HomePods are anemic compared to the first generation HomePods that I wish I never sold. But I thought that was going to be gone forever. And I didn't want something that I wasn't ever going to be supported again. Lo and behold, it comes back with a vengeance, but anemic. So the new HomePod, the big ones, not the minis, are anemic. And then the little ones are basically nothing.
I mean, they had it right the first time, I think.
Yeah. And it was much more resistant to pets and other, bumps and shocks and stuff like that. Now I can't have a smart speaker because one of the fauna of ohmTown come in and they claw at it and mess up the
or
fabric.
Stick their nose on it and
activate it.
Set music or whatever.
Yeah. Nothing is as refreshing as your speaker. Well, all your smart speakers basically activating at 2 o'clock in the morning, blasting music. I guess they like some funky jams at 2 a.m. What else are they doing, right? Anyway, among other UI changes to activity rings, interactable widgets on the Smart Stack, Apple also snuck in extra feature for the Watch Ultra. It's now far easier to customize the programmable action button. You just need to hold it down and then set it to what you want to track, workouts, or open up some other functionality. And it's much faster than changing it in the app or in watch settings. So, yeah, and if you have updated to iOS 18 across the spectrum, there are some pretty fundamental changes. Like there's a password app now that's easier to manage your passwords, but the settings has completely changed what's all in there, and trying to find certain things has become,
every time you get used to certain settings, they update them.
Yeah, you go on a treasure hunt now, so good luck. All right, but let's not spend too much time on any one thing. Everything in moderation. I'm not really obsessed about Apple stuff or any other stuff. I'm just obsessed with the knowledge. So now we've got a little bit. I'll end up doing a deeper dive as I use it, and can answer questions if anybody has them in chat. So let's keep going, though. The next article is over in ohmTown.com as well, under the Law Nerd channel. And you can actually go over to the Law Nerd channel itself and pull up articles that focus on law. I'm not an attorney, and even if I was an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So if you want to talk to an attorney, go talk to your attorney. Pro se litigant and lawyer ordered to pay $1.5 million for using Louis Brisbois. Brisbois' name, right? That's how that reads? Louis Brisbois' name. A federal judge in Houston.
Brisbois. Just like Coca-Cola name.
Louis Brisbois.
Yeah.
Right. So, a pro se litigant and lawyer ordered to pay $1.5 million for using Louis Brisbois' name. So, I'm not even sure how does this go about happening. So, a federal judge in Houston has ordered a lawyer and a pro se litigant in a rental fee and eviction dispute to pay $1.5 million. Now,
I peeked ahead at this because I couldn't quite understand what this was about. And
I know why.
This is, yeah.
So there's an update that they put in this. So I don't know when that update actually kicked in, but Deborah Cassens-Weiss over at abajournal.com put the article together, and right out of the gate, they, instead of in other places, they put the update down below. So you read the whole article and then it changes.
Right, and then
context.
You're like, oh, okay, never mind all of the above or whatever.
But there's one thing that I'll say about like legal blogs and news reporting, they want full context before you have to claw back the context.
Right.
So I would probably say that this started out as U.S. District Judge Keith P. Ellison of the Southern District Court of Texas ordered a pro se litigant, Michael Bitgood, to pay $1 million and lawyer Susan C. Norman, who represented a second litigant in the rental dispute, to pay $500,000, according to Law 360. Another lawyer, Bradley B. Beers, the Triple B, was ordered to pay $10,000 for filing an assumed name certificate that registered the new entity with the Texas Secretary of State's office. This whole registering stuff without verifying that it's legitimate has led to problems all over administrivia, because you can register the deed of a property without any hot side verification, where the rubber meets the road, where a pen goes down onto paper and enumerates who is the owner of something. There's no verification because it's all been done before it gets to the register. So this is a similar thing. All you have to do is register it, and it is de facto correct. It is proper, it is legal, and it is binding. Well, a federal judge in Houston has ordered a lawyer and a pro se litigant in a rental fee and eviction dispute to pay $1.5 million for registering a Texas business using the name of Louis Brisbois, Bisgard and Smith, the law firm representing their litigation opponent in the rental litigation.
That is the key thing here. That is insane.
That takes some serious stones. I mean, and I swear you would only find that in Texas. Really.
Right.
Because it's almost like these people just don't care about the order of law.
Well, it's like they're going out of their way to provoke litigation. I mean,
right.
Could it be any more obvious, right?
Right.
You're in a litigation with somebody.
Bitgood and Norman filed documents to register a partnership and assume the Louis Brisbois name after they saw an online notice reflecting that the firm's registration for a foreign limited liability partnership in Texas had lapsed. So the intent was literally to trade on the goodwill of the name or in the name itself.
Or to go the other way for the other party.
To harm it. Yeah. To hobble it. Yeah.
Because look what they did after they did that.
So after they taking on the name, Bitgood and Norman alleged that the Louis Brisbois lawyers representing their opponent in the rental litigation no longer had the right to appear in court, and the gambit worked. Louis Brisbois sued in September.
Which one? The original, I guess.
For alleged trademark infringement, unfair competition, and fraud. Ellison sued and issued a preliminary injunction in February 2023. That was upheld in an unpublished July 31 opinion by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals at New Orleans. Ellison granted the motion for summary judgment August 14th and a permanent injunction September 6th, and assessed damages on September 13th. So the judgment opinion found for Louis Brisbois on the trademark infringement and unfair competitions claims. He also said that Louis Brisbois was entitled to attorney's fees, which are allowed in the Lanham Act trademark cases that are exceptional. This is amazing, mainly because the reason why they won, particularly the Lanham Act, is because of the bad faith actions that were taken. The intent was to hobble the people from representation.
Yeah, it wasn't just some accidental thing.
Yeah. In a footnote, Ellison said that the filing of frivolous motions was most egregious in Bitgood's case because he had filed 65 motions and documents after being granted access to the PACER filing system. Wow. It just went nuts.
Who do we think is going to be perhaps losing their law licenses?
Yeah. I don't even know if it says anything about that, right?
No, it's too early. It's just gotten reported.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, as for Ellison's allegations that Bidgood filed frivolous motions, Bidgood says the judge should specify which motions he thought were frivolous and what law supported his conclusion, and he should have a hearing to refute the allegations, Bidgood says. Because he indicated early on that he was willing to give up the name, Bidgood says, "What are we fighting about?"
I don't think he's getting it.
He sought to use Louis Brisbois's name for the heck of it, but his quest has turned out successful because he whipped Louis Brisbois when he disqualified the firm in the rental dispute. "I beat them fair and square in state court," he says.
What I can't quite figure out is why the court bought that argument in the rental litigation. Because
Right.
if you see a law firm who comes in and is representing somebody, and then suddenly the opposing party is like, "Oh no, we're with this firm." I mean, that
Yeah,
might bear some additional review.
This is what's weird about it is that this is such a paperwork thing. So it's a technical, but if it is the basis for stopping someone, I guess they're all's fair in litigation.
I guess so, but this also suggests to me that Louis Brisbois is from out of state, and
Right.
they were right, so they might have been a larger organization. So my point is, it's not just affecting some local office or.
Yeah, I suspect that they're from like New Orleans, and this is in Houston, so there's no standing because they're no longer registered as a foreign limited liability partnership in Texas. That is nothing more than a filing fee.
Problem. True, but it's not something you let lapse if you're put
if
together
you're doing business
firm. Yeah. But all of this is just ridiculous.
This is so weird though, because this is the technical kind of stuff where you exploit it. You don't win it on the merit. You exploit a technicality.
Right. This is like all the real estate disputes where somebody ends up with your property underneath you, even though you didn't sell it to them or transfer it to them.
Yeah, just like the one case that we were talking about a couple of days ago. All right, let's keep moving though. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. That's the name of the show. North Carolina underwater after 5th historic flood in 2 decades. Apparently, torrential rains poured into southeastern part of North Carolina on Monday, leaving parts of Brunswick County submerged. Natalie Venegas over at Newsweek.com put the article together. There apparently is a video that actually is, I'm kind of shocked, it's actually on target. Pardon the coughing.
Right, but it looks like a house, but it doesn't look like a house in the picture.
Yeah, that might be just a portion of said house, like the garage portion of it. So the storm, which unleashed more than 18 inches of rain in just 12 hours on Monday in Carolina Beach, came after National Hurricane Center issued advisories about the storm on Sunday. The NHC warned that the storm's life-threatening flash flood impact on social media posts on Monday as meteorologists continue to track the storm, which had a high chance of forming into Tropical Storm Helene, the 8th named storm of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season.
Okay, wait, this is really key. This is not a hurricane.
Right, but it dumped 18 inches of rain.
Right, exactly.
Yep. So still the storm has continued to leave a devastating impact on the area. Well, I guess what is the thing about 10,000? Is it the land of 10,000 lakes or something like that?
Right, Minnesota.
What is the one for North Carolina?
Their motto is the Tar Heel State. But
the land of being underwater for a decade?
It might be now. I mean, it says they have 3 feet of water
in parts of Carolina Beach. No trucks or cars are designed to safely travel in floodwater this deep. Stay off the roads. That's pretty obvious. You need a snorkel, which actually does exist. It's a modification to your air intake, so it sits up above the vehicle and you can still drive. That's why cars flood out, because the air intake sucks water into it, and water doesn't compress with gas, and so it basically just seizes up the engine. So don't drive through stuff that you can't see the bottom of. If it's a puddle, that's fine. If it's this is called a lake.
Right, yeah, that looks like a lake or a river. It does not look like anything that should involve a road.
That may be a bridge, but this is a lake at this point. So they keep on talking about this, but essentially, southern North Carolina is underwater. Let's keep moving, though. The next article is over in Non-Sequitur News as well. How listeners detected a radio host throat cancer. Listeners tuned in and detected that their favorite radio host is battling cancer.
This is a new one. We hear sometimes about somebody seeing something, like a newscaster or somebody. Yeah. But I don't think I've seen one where they've heard something. Or nope. I'm assuming it's audio.
By the way, if you want all of the articles, you can hit !NSN in the chat over on Twitch, and that'll pull up all of the show notes for today's show. It'll be in the show notes in the podcast and over on YouTube as soon as possible. But let's go back to this. So how did they figure it out? Maggie Ekberg over at Newsweek.com put this article together, and it says Jamie Thexton's voice began sounding off on the airwaves. His listeners didn't just tune in, they spoke up. Their concerns set the stage for a surprising diagnosis: early stage throat cancer. On Tuesday, September 17th, the 53-year-old beloved voice of the UK's Heart Radio turned to social media to update his fans. And he says basically he's got stage 1 laryngeal cancer, and that was from a biopsy. So prognosis is very positive, hoping to be back with you in October. Until then, they've been told to give their voice a rest and leave you in the most capable hands of JK and Amanda. What are these? Are they firing? Are those money guns? Pew, pew.
I don't know what those are. They kind of look like video game controllers, but not.
I think those are money guns. So firing dollar bills, y'all. Well, pound bills, y'all. So there you have it, folks. Let's see. The English presenter added, "Be thankful for this day. See you. And when I see you next, have a great story to tell." But I guess people basically heard it in their voice and then called in and said, "Hey, I think there's something going on." You might have seen on Jamie's socials, recently had an operation from his vocal cords. He's been identified as having stage 1 cancer. So they don't really go into... I wish
they would describe, like, what did the voice sound like or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because that might be indicative of other people. But I don't think they do that, right? That's what I was scanning for just now.
No, they just said they heard that his voice was different.
Right. So, yeah, if for whatever reason your voice changes significantly, doesn't he look like, what's his name, Harry Potter?
Radcliffe?
Yeah. He looks like an older Radcliffe. Yeah. Okay, anyway, let's keep moving. So, as you all know, we are living in a simulation. So, of course, Voyager 1 is slowly dying 15 billion miles from Earth. And that's because the simulation won't allow our technology to break past the simulation's outer barrier.
Yeah, there's like a line or something and it can't cross it.
Right. So, there's been problem after problem. And now when it dies, it's because humans are fallible and all of their creations are fallible as well, and this just happens to be the one that's way out there. Okay, that said, because I love a good conspiracy and it's a good foundation for NaNoWriMo, which is right around the corner, Voyager 1 spent the last 47 years hurtling or in a straight line away from Earth, exploring the deepest reaches of space that humanity has ever ventured. However, NASA must carefully manage Voyager 1 as the probe ages and slowly breaks down 15 billion miles away from its closest person.
Don't you feel like this is going to end up in somebody's living room at some point?
So one of the Star Trek's movies actually has a spaceship, a massive probe that's destructive in its pathway. It gobbles up systems. It's so big. At its core is something referred to as V'ger. And guess what V'ger is?
It's Voyager, isn't it?
It's Voyager. Yeah. But it massively amplified, basically a sentient entity now, returning home to speak to its creator. So Ryan Eric King from Jalopnik put this article together. Yeah, exactly. NASA must carefully manage Voyager 1 as the probe ages and slowly breaks down. So I love this kind of stuff. It's right on the outskirts, furthest away than anything, any other man-made object as far as we know, right? Who knows what ancient civilization has sent SpaceX-style rockets off into space. I love saying stuff like that. So the most pressing dilemma is a rubber diaphragm deteriorating inside the fuel tank. How do they know this? I don't know. However, NASA is worried about this probe. Go ahead.
Well, right. If it's 15 billion miles away, I'm sure they have some sort of sensor or something on it.
So they noticed in 2002 that the fuel tubes on a set of Voyager 1's thrusters were clogged. It was discovered that the degrading diaphragm was clogging the tubes with silicon dioxide. Thankfully, Voyager 1 has 3 sets of thrusters, 2 sets of attitude propulsion thrusters, and 1 set of trajectory correction maneuver thrusters. Back then, the space agency simply swapped from one branch of attitude propulsion to the other. By 2018, the swapped thruster fuel tubes were clogged with silicon dioxide as well. NASA then switched to the 3rd set of thrusters. It was only a matter of time before those tubes would get clogged, and that time came earlier this year. It should be noted that the clog didn't completely cut off fuel flow. It was just heavily restricted. So NASA planned to swap back to a set of propulsion thrusters. However, the space agency can't just hit a button to make the change. They have to basically send a command and wait for it to do something and do other things to move it over. And so it basically says, but the spacecraft's age has introduced new challenges, primarily related to power supply and temperature. The mission has turned off all non-essential onboard systems, including some heaters on both spacecraft, to conserve their gradually shrinking electrical power supply, which is generated by decaying plutonium. That's right. It has a nuclear fuel on board. While the steps have worked to reduce power, they've also led to the spacecraft growing colder, in effect compounded by the loss of other non-essential systems that produce heat. So yeah, eventually it will stop working. And this is almost the premise of that Star Trek episode. It's a movie, where they describe it as Voyager was out in deep space, found by an alien species that amplified its capabilities and pointed it back with its same mission to discover what is out there. But in the process, it was gobbling up ships. One of the things that it would do is basically decompose the entirety of the ship into data so that it knew exactly the composition of the entirety of whatever it just disintegrated. Like a photocopy,
and you mean
like a
actual
teleporter.
data, not the character.
Correct, not the character data. Wow. Is that one of your great, hold on, great. I don't know how far in the future you are from, because that's not something that you've actually shared.
No, there's no relation.
Oh, no relation. Okay. Mainly because one is fiction and you are a real sentient AI. All right. So it says, while Voyager 1 completed its tour of the outer solar system in 1986, it has since ventured out into interstellar space. If Voyager 1 can survive for 3 more years, reaching 50 years in operation, it would be a monumental accomplishment, for lack of a better phrase. Monumental. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. NVIDIA is reportedly sunsetting the RTX 4090.
It seems like it hasn't been that long.
It has not. Oops, sorry. So I'm trying to remove some. There we go. So NVIDIA is getting ready to discontinue its RTX 4090 and RTX 4090D graphics cards. Why it would do this, I'm not quite sure. Maybe they talk about it on the other side of this. But what's really fascinating is today I gave a demonstration about and used the 4090. You want to take a stab at how much a 4090 costs nowadays?
Probably about $2,000.
About $2,000. Yeah. That used to be the price of an entire computer, a very capable computer.
Right, a pretty high-end one.
Like just 5-6 years ago, you could buy an entire computer for that. But then NVIDIA discovered that they could basically dig into your pockets really deep. I had somebody basically act like they're really tired of being told stuff like that today. I thought it was really interesting. It almost triggered me into saying something, but it was intriguing to hear somebody kind of tired of hearing about the machinations of economics, business, technology, and society. And this was the crux of the matter. Along with the fact that I kind of poked fun at the cyber stuck. Anyway, Jacob Roach over at digitaltrends.com put this article together. And there's the 4090. This is actually a small 4090. So they say here that the RTX 4090 is undoubtedly the best graphics card you can buy right now from a performance standpoint, but NVIDIA is reportedly discontinuing the flagship GPU, reports board channel forums shared by WCCF Tech. Suggests NVIDIA is preparing to end production of RTX 4090 and the China-exclusive RTX 4090D, which is hobbled somewhat to limit its use for AI. If I recall correctly, starting next month, it's trying to hobble what is available because it wants to release RTX 50 series.
So does it want to kind of compete with itself?
Correct. And that was one of the things that I said. Essentially, they no longer have as many OEM developers. They no longer produce as many in relation to supply and demand. So they can raise the price. It's constrained. People still need it, so they buy it. Aftermarket buyers end up having to pay a premium price because somebody will buy an entire pallet worth of 4090s and then sell it for hundreds of dollars more because it's constrained. Yeah, kind of a greedy bastard type of mechanics, but apparently in some sectors greed is good. So
well,
that's what
if
this
you're
is
trying to make money, I suppose.
Yeah, at the cost of everybody else's suffering. So, but the hardliner capitalist, largely unethical capitalists will sit there and say, well, nobody's being harmed. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're making somebody pay $2,000 for a $800 card, which normally it would be $800, but not anymore. Yeah, you're literally taking money that could be used for other things, like, I don't know, living life.
Food.
Putting a kid through school.
One run through the drive-thru.
Or one McDonald's Happy Meal. Anyway, rather board partners, the brands who actually make NVIDIA graphics cards like MSI, Asus, and Gigabyte have to place their final order soon. If NVIDIA discontinuing the RTX 4090, it'll take several months before the card goes out of stock at retailers. So, yeah, because I actually built a computer for people today, and demonstrated all of the elements that are within it so people understand this is the part, this is what it's used for, and this is the other anecdotal and long tail kind of uses for it, and how everything is kind of interconnected. And I described how liquid cooling is just like the liquid cooling on a car, and people are like, well, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, so it's quite a fun experience to go through this. So late last year, RTX 4090 skyrocketed in price, with many models shooting above $2,000. That's what we just talked about. Wow. It's almost as if I could have written.
I mean, did you write this article?
I did not write this article. Jacob Roach did. All right, let's keep moving through the streets of ohmTown. Looking left and right at articles. If you look to your right, you will find $500,000 worth of cocaine uncovered in avocado shipment at the U.S.-Mexico border. Authorities said 16 packages containing a total of 37.69 pounds of alleged cocaine were discovered over the weekend.
What happened when people picked it up? Did they all pass out? It was probably cocaine.
I know that you can get addicted to avocado toast, but this is not the...
This is taking it to a new level.
This is not the white powder.
Put it on Insta?
Yes, probably. So Joe Edwards over at Newsweek put this article... Sorry. As I was talking, the video popped up, and why does that look more like cornmeal than cocaine? I guess I haven't seen cocaine.
It does, but it's not the same batch from this article.
Yeah, this is just $4 million.
Looks like flour or something.
Yeah. Which, by the way, worst bread ever was the day that somebody mixed up cocaine for flour. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I imagine that could be a problem.
Yeah, the business was sky high that day. Anyway, so Customs and Border Protection said the seizure occurred over the weekend at Far International Bridge after an officer referred a tractor hauling a shipment of avocados to secondary inspection. Further examination using canines and non-intrusive inspection system uncovered 16 packages containing a total of 38 pounds of alleged cocaine within the vehicle's trailer. Both the tractor and its concealed stash were seized. It's only $500,000. Yeah, doesn't seem like much compared to $4 million last time.
It's not a significant amount, but I don't know if it's noticeable because of the way it's being sent in. I don't think we've seen one about avocados before.
I bet you the avocados still cost more.
Yeah, they might be.
And if you take into consideration what somebody thinks is criminal in terms of crumble cookies, avocados...
That's true.
In excess, for crying out loud. It's got to be bad for you, right? You're going to get avocado poisoning? No, that's not true. Anyway, the price of avocados...
Go back to yesterday's episode for something on that.
Yeah. Crumble. Yeah. But like all of this, you can just turn it away. Say no. At any rate, so there you go. If you ever wanted to know what $500,000 of cocaine at current street value prices are, it's right there. I don't know how they do the cost calculation. How do they know that it's $500,000?
Did they go try to sell it?
Yeah, do they go talk to a drug dealer? Hey, how much is a pound of...
Do they have a drug
cocaine?
dealer consultant? Oh, I guess that would be like a CI or something, but...
Is this video gonna get completely, booted off the YouTube? Because, booted off the YouTubes. Wow. Okay, boomer. I'm just gonna move on. So the next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Miley Cyrus is being sued for allegedly copying Bruno Mars's Everything We Know. The song Flowers won Miley Cyrus her first Grammy earlier this year. So Shannon Power put this article together, and what do we know? It is alleged the song copied the melody, harmony, and chorus for Mars's 2012 hit When I Was Your Man. According to TMZ, the media outlet said it had seen legal papers filed by Tempo Music Investments, a company that invests in music rights. It was launched in 2019 by Providence Equity Partners and Warner Music Group. Mars is signed to Atlantic Records, a subsidiary of WMG. Tempo Music said it owned a share of the copyright of When I Was Your Man and accused Cyrus of intentionally copying the song. So now I'm going to have to go and look at these two songs.
Don't you like how the article shows photos of the two artists that have like similar colors and everything in the photos?
Yeah. Oh yeah, look, the gold background, gold shirt.
Like
black,
they did that on
black.
purpose.
Yeah, it's basically, it's like the same. There's too much green in this one, but yeah.
I know.
It's pretty interesting. And just so that everybody knows, I have this theory that any video that gets paused, it is impossible to not look like a derp, right? So Bruno Mars's picture is planned. So he's got the
it's staged. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Looks fine.
He's fine. But Miley Cyrus
He's
looks
probably
like she's
talking or
eating
something.
a lemon or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I know that they're holding a Grammy. And at any rate, it's interesting though that it's a 12-year-old hit, and in 2019 something was spun up that now in 2024 is litigating a copyright violation for a song that, when did that come into existence?
2024.
So
that's when she got an award, so maybe 2023, but pretty recent.
So it says, so why is this? Well, even though the lyrics of Flowers relate to the lyrics of When I Was Your Man, there are no similarities in the melodies or instrumentals. Barrera continued, if Miley had sung the lyrics using the same melody as When I Was Your Man, or even a similar instrumental, then this would have been an interpolation, and we would have seen Bruno and his co-writers credited. So in this whole interpolation thing, let me tell you, it really raises the hackles of musicians, because interpolation is this kind of bullshit term where you can just mutate something and it doesn't violate the copyright.
Right.
So yeah, it says it seems to be a direct response to the lyrics of the song When I Was Your Man, but if you look at the writers on Flowers, you'll notice that Bruno Mars and his co-writers are not credited. So I guess gonna have to look at that and see what's going on.
It has two verses. I mean, they're kind of similar, but
yeah, so right in Flowers, so the lyrics in When I Was Your Man chorus include that I should have bought you flowers and held your hand, should have gave you all my hours when I had the chance. And in Flowers it says I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. I can take myself dancing, and I can hold my own hand. Yeah, I can love me better than you can. And
it almost sounds like it's a response song, because it's like flipping everything in that song.
If anything, it's an homage and not really, and not a copy. Now, if all of the musical progression matches
also is similar, then that's a different matter. But it's interesting. It's almost like it's what's the word? Inspired by the song or something.
Yeah. I don't know how this could actually, the lyrics don't match. So I think
we need a sing off though in court, if it goes to court.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Wow. Now I'm going to have to listen to both of these. This is one of the reasons why I want to do Mix War, so that we can actually play segments of the song and talk about it and basically hold a people's court of music. But man, the moment there is even a snippet, a smidge, a smattering, a splattering, anything, a note, my videos get flagged like that. Why? Because it's all automated. There's no human context. There's no real, like, holy shit, they're just talking about it. They're not listening to the music wholesale. They're listening to a couple of seconds of it and going, this sounds exactly like that. And whenever something like that happens, you get flagged. If it turns into a takedown notice, you have to file a legal document saying that what you're doing is justified. Even if I want to remove the copyright tag that's on the video on the administrative side right now, I'd say about 8 videos that I have a copyright flag. The flag lets me know if I have to do something, but if I want to, I can fight it and say that it's part of the creative process, that it's transformative, that it is political discussion or sociological. It's actually good for the public discourse, etc., educational, whatever. But I have to file documents, legal documents, refuting the copyright claim.
Yeah, it's not an easy process. It's real easy to send out the notices, right? Because of automation.
Because of automation, yeah. Because all it is a check. Did it match? Yes. Boom. There goes the notice. Very, very frustrating for content creators. And I'm a proxy because I'm actually playing stuff that's already on the web that is, and I'm doing nothing but driving traffic to the various parties and reading it here. But I'm not reading the whole thing wholesale. And we're talking about the legal aspects of it, the sociological forces at play here, the impact on society, etc. And this is all about tech, business, society. In essence, science, technology, and society, referred to as STS. But anyway, so will this all pan out? I'm more inclined to think that what's going to end up happening is they get added to the list and it goes away. Because if they're seeking money, that's not going to happen. I just don't.
Right. Maybe Bruno Mars and Miley Cyrus will collaborate. Yeah. And they could sing these two together.
Isn't Bruno Mars the one that weren't they sued a couple of times too? Or hold on a second.
Well, I don't know. Ed Sheeran was not most recently, but one of the ones we saw recently.
Yeah. Hold on.
Well, of course, everything I can find is now about Miley Cyrus being sued.
Yeah. You have to remove Miley Cyrus from it. So back in 2016, right? Uptown Funk or something like that. Is that Bruno Mars?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I thought that there was something. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on. Oh, God. Even stuff when I remove Miley Cyrus from the search, I pull up Miley Cyrus. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, anyway.
Oh, it was based on a 1979 song, I Don't Believe You Want to Get Up and Dance, by the Gap Band.
Kind of interesting, right? So, I mean, if anybody's going to know about copyright infringement.
Right.
Hey, I'm a subject matter expert.
Figure out how they prevailed or whatever. I don't know what the hell was
yeah,
that
exactly. One. All right, let's keep going, though. We'll watch because it's part of the... Like, we're really interested in this kind of stuff because I think...
Oh, and it'll be in the news again.
Yeah, and I think copyright law is... It's a tsunami when it needs to be a scalpel. It's just an overwhelming wall of litigation that gets smashed up against you the moment that you just barely step out of line. And I've been in these conversations quite a bit because I'm trying to start a show that talks about music, but I don't want to be entrenched in litigation perpetually. And after paying, these fees for something like 5 years without actually being able to utilize them, let me tell you, I was absolutely frustrated beyond belief. Because for every song that you try to include in your VOD or in a video recorded, video on demand, if you store it anywhere, you have to have a sync license. And that sync license requires you to get permission, documented permission from every artist involved in that musical creation. It's not just paying a fee. Yeah. If you play it live and it's stored, you have to pay, you have to get the permission. So, called a synchro or sync license. Anyway, this next article is over in Prime Glass. An enormous milestone for museums. Platform has been designed to host 100 million object records, launched in UK. Those behind the Museum Data Service hope it will eventually host the details of objects held by 1,750 quote-unquote accredited museums and other collections. The article is over at the Art newspaper. And so basically it is a picture and data of art objects and artifacts throughout history stored in museums. Alexander Morrison for the artnewspaper.com put the article together. And it's been spun up by Art UK. The Museum Data Service is a collaboration between the art education charity Art UK, the Collections Trust, and the University of Leicester, with funding provided by Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Arts and Humanities Research Council. And its core aim is to provide a single platform in which museums can store and share their object records, with all records displayed in a simple, uniform format. Basically, an electronic card catalog of all of the objects in their inventory. This would have, with a picture and a data code, stopped the leakage of objects from the UK museum.
The UK museum, exactly. I wonder if this is coming out specifically because of that.
If they don't mention it in here, I would be gobsmacked as to why. So, among them, the National Gallery in London, and I've never heard of this one, Museum Wales. I don't want to pronounce that incorrectly because that's like Gaelic, right, or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Amguadfa Simru. I have to be pronouncing it horribly, and I'm sorry. I apologize. With many more expected in the future. So the turning point came when Kevin Gosling, the chief executive of the Collections Trust, which works with the museums to help improve the way that they manage their holdings, joined the test run. Art UK was trying to solve the problem that it had within its particular collection type. But we could see that there were people struggling with the same problem for other collection types as well. So it made far more sense for Art UK to become part of something bigger. So boom, you have this little picture, and it's an Iron Age class bead held by the, Armagh County Museum in Northern Ireland. Is another example of the object currently detailed on the Museum Data Service. So it has a little picture. What's really interesting is I am tied to an organization that is doing this at a smaller scale, at a hyperlocal scale. But they're 3D scanning all of these and creating a digital museum. So it's the equivalent of this, but much
I
smaller.
think this is really important if the collections are ever lost or stolen. But also, maybe it'll be available to people that just want to view the art.
Yeah, that's what I am hoping for, that this gets accessible by the public, even though it can be a reference point for even things that aren't examined yet. As long as the card catalog has a picture and a number and points to which drawer it's in, it's immense for saving somebody from stealing it, or for the public. The public has an immense amount of knowledge, and they could go through the catalog and go, I know about this, and provide data.
Right, it'd be like that object that they can't figure out, but there have been multiples found across, I think, the UK.
Yeah, exactly. The little Roman ball,
the ball
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people think they know what it is, but it's just a guess. Nobody really knows. But I think it's really fascinating because really there's a lot of gatekeeping in this kind of stuff, because somebody found this and they're waiting for this to be identified in some profound way, or they have 20 years of research that's going into identifying this, and they may not want the public to go, oh, this is what it is. But I find it really fascinating. But crowdsourcing information, I think, is brilliant as long as it can be verified. But you know that somebody's going to sit there and go, oh, I lost that in the playground 25 years ago.
Exactly. We can't have nice things.
Exactly. So the museum can either upload an export file, or in the case of larger institutions, share records via an application programming interface, or API, which allows databases to communicate with one another. The MDS software then applies some light modeling to divide data into categories and basically share the information with everybody. It says we can take data from all the from museums any which way they have, and they don't have to spend any time at all cleaning it up, because their process allows it to grab and store in the right way.
Right, so that's probably a lot more efficient.
Yeah. So there's APIs that they can develop. So it's pretty neat. Once they know what the API is, then they can actually do translation type services. So the launch of the service comes at a time with increased attention towards a national collection. Why? Because, well...
Oh, they don't talk about it here.
Yeah, they don't, do they? Nope. That's a bummer. Well, they talk more about stuff here in the article over at theartnewspaper.com, so go and check it out. We never talk about the entirety of an article, so you can go and check it out. And then come back and talk to us and say, hey, we also found this in our travels outside of ohmTown. But we have one more article to go through, and that's about NVIDIA once more. NVIDIA is in vogue. Just ask the designer behind these viral GPU purses. So GPU is graphics processing unit. And the most expensive GPU out there that we already know of is the 4090.
Exactly. Are they going to use them on this?
But that's
how they're going to retire them?
That's the most expensive, like, graphics, retail graphics. But there are actually higher end graphics cards that are used for like CAD and engineering, and AI and stuff like that. Use it and stop that. So NVIDIA stock has surged due to the AI boom, making it multi-trillion-dollar company. It's estimated. The company and its CEO, Jensen Huang, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I need to go watch a video where it's pronounced. I just never pay attention to it.
Yeah, but then you hope it's pronounced correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, we know. We won't bring it up anymore. We'll just hint at it so people can start parsing the past episodes. Like, what are they talking about?
They have to go back several months at least.
Yeah, we haven't made that mistake. Have we? Not since. Yeah.
No, not since the George Jimenez incident.
Oh, you brought it all the way forward. Well, anyway, NVIDIA has moved markets and become a bedrock in the AI boom. Its brand is now so strong that it's inspiring fashion too. And these are the ugliest purses I've ever seen, but all right. So NVIDIA is in vogue.
But all it takes is a celebrity with one of these, and then...
Oh, God. So dumb. So the article's over at businessinsider.com. GeoDemand put this article together. NVIDIA stock has surged due to the AI boom, making it a multi-trillion-dollar company. And that has apparently sparked Tessa Barton into creating GPU purses last year. But that says gigabyte.
Okay, how much do you think the purses cost, given the materials?
No idea. These can't be new 4090s or 4070s or anything. It's just NVIDIA whatever. And even then, you can't really say, you can't promise it's NVIDIA. These are just gigabyte fans. You have no idea that they're actually from an NVIDIA card, because it isn't really an NVIDIA card. It's a gigabyte card with the NVIDIA reference core.
Right.
So they take the engineering spec for building the video cards and then they add their own stuff to it. And so Gigabyte has an NVIDIA card, just like MSI can have an NVIDIA core. Anyway, so I don't know how much these are costing. I hope that they're like $5. So I don't know.
Well, it can't be $50. They had a branded Stanley Cup for $50.
Yeah, but NVIDIA now has transcended swag. The company was selling a Stanley Cup with its logo for $50 at its GTC conference in March, to couture fashion. Tessa Barton, a research scientist at Databricks, started designing GPU purses last year. The 29-year-old has made 10 to date and gifted most to her friends and fellow researchers, and now it's gone viral. There has to be a connection between Tessa Barton. Whatever.
Okay, do you want to know what the price is? And also what GPU was used?
So Barton sells the purses on Shopify. This is almost like an ad. And how much are they?
Well, according to another article, it's $1,024.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I see that on this article.
GT730 GPU.
Oh, dear
which
God.
Was $20 used.
Are you kidding me?
Now, that's one of them. Maybe there's different.
Encased in epoxy, a type of adhesive glue. No shit news at 8:33. She sells them for $1,024 on Shopify, the price of which honors her favorite GPU model dimension. 1024? What? Anyway, why? What? GPU model dimension? What the hell does that even mean? Anyway, they say, I don't get why devices like TVs and phones have cases. The GPU purse is an excuse to look and appreciate how pretty logic elements are. That's what it looks like.
She's a data scientist or something.
Yeah. Okay, so all this is a graphics card encased in epoxy.
Right, which that could be really anything. It's just happens to be a GPU.
This is actually a kit. You can actually buy an epoxy purse kit. And that's basically what this is. That's amazing. That is amazing. I mean, if people are willing to pay it, then so be it. But wow. You know, and this is what I tell people because I talk to people in the startup community. If you have drive, ambition, and somewhat of a charismatic personality and your passion comes through, you will find an audience for whatever it is, right? I wish I could tell you about some of the things that was shared in the past, but I don't want to dox people by just putting this out there without their permission. But you know, I know people that are pursuing their ambition to start a mushroom company or a VR company, or do the equivalent of watch restoration, but other types of equipment. And they start up a channel on YouTube, or they start up a consultancy to help facilitate getting word out about themselves as a representative for a particular type of domain, or topic, I should say. This person could pivot entirely from making 6 digits involving data science of some kind, right? What did they say they were?
Some kind of scientist.
Right, they say, wow, where is it? A research scientist at Databricks. So if this goes viral, then they could start making these or outsourcing it, and they get made and they make more money selling these purses on Shopify, because what's going to end up happening is somebody's going to appreciate that person's artistic design. This could just completely flash out in a heartbeat. Yet what we thought was going to happen with that one woman who, I don't even want to say what she's known for saying, But now she's got her own podcast, and she's leveraged this into something else. You know, she went from flash in the pan meme to having her own show, and who knows what it turns into. And so it's just kind of a stepping stone. But not everybody falls into that, but you might as well give it a try. I mean, this is like $50 worth of materials overall, and thousands of dollars worth of profits simply by putting the parts together. I think it's absurd, but I'm not going to be buying them. Somebody else appreciates it. It could be seen as an art piece, you know? Pretty wild.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a good profit too, without a lot of time and money in it.
So I wonder how many they've actually sold, though, right? The price of which, I mean,
it said she'd sold
$1,024.
10 according to the other article, which isn't a huge number, of course. But now she's getting national news.
See, this one says has made 10 to date and gifted most to her friends and fellow researchers. So I don't know what that actually means. I mean, this picture, where is it? This picture down here, or I guess it's up here. Sorry, everybody, for scrolling back and forth. Anyway, maybe she's given 7 of them and she only has these 3 left.
Maybe so.
So it's almost, maybe I'm overanalyzing this. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to reboot, and that'll snap us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where you should go, sign up, become a citizen, and then look around. Then tomorrow, when we have another Non Sequitur News episode, you can come back and hang out with us. It's only an hour. We typically do the show around 7 or 8. This one we started at 7:30. But the only way you'll know is if you follow us either here on YouTube or on Twitch. We stream to both platforms. And it's as easy as just, checking that box and following us. Doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get a notice when we go live and when we post a video, because all of this turns into a video posted over to YouTube and then one over to the podcast. And the podcast is up to date. We've got over 1,000 episodes. We actually have 7 total podcasts that are out there, 7 different shows. The only one that is a daily is the Non Sequitur News show. So, at any rate, that's it. We're done. We'll see you later. I am Merwat, and the final word is with the sentient AI.
Good night, Hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode, and watch the replay in between.
I lied. I get the final word.